a choice example of an audience mesmerized by voyeurism. Alfred Hitchcock's main character, L.B. Jeffries, is a photographer, the epitome of a voyeur. Confined to a wheelchair in his Greenwich Village apartment, he peers out his back window. Jeff now applies his work to his home life, making mental pictures where he used to make physical ones.
Well, where?
There's no point even talking about it.
No, come on, where?
Cashmere. Got a code tip from the bureau chief this morning. The place is about to go up in smoke.
What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you that's the next place to watch?
You did.
Okay, when do I leave?
Hitchcock uses voyeurism to reflect Jeff's feelings towards commitment. Using only the view of the protagonist, Hitchcock is able to show the viewers the protagonist's underlying subconscious feelings about commitment. We notice Jeff's eyes focus transition from the instability of the Thorwalds when his editor begins discussing getting married to when the editor wants to talk about a potentially dangerous job. Until this very moment, Hitchcock's audience has seen all of what Jeff has. Now, with Jeff asleep, he takes his audience beyond that of Jeff's eyes, allowing them to see what he has not. For the first time, we know more than Jeff. Alfred Hitchcock has created a new suspense for his audience, who now is complicit to his voyeurism. We are all voyeurs. We meticulously watch the drama across the street unfold. As John Hopkins Film and Media Studies stated, quote, "In Rear Window, voyeurism is not as much as an unhealthy desire, but a very natural one that normal people can possess." The film Vertigo, filmed in 1958, exemplifies male gaze, a term coined by Laura Mulvaney. She describes the way arts and films objectify women from the male point of view, displaying women as objects of male pleasure. In Vertigo, the retired detective suffering from acrophobia is hired by an old friend to spy on his wife Madeline. Throughout the film, Scotty, the main character, develops an obsession for Madeline without even speaking to her. After Madeline's assumed suicide, Scotty's obsession is put into context when he meets another woman by the name of Judy. The resemblance between the two fascinates him to the extent that he is essentially trying to transform Judy into Madeline, trying to recreate the ideal perfect woman. The shift of attention is away from Scotty and is now on Madeline. From a distance, we watch Scotty stalk Madeline. The audience becomes the voyeurs, making Scotty, as well as Madeline, those being watched. As the phone rings, Madeline is startled awake. Our focus is no longer on Scotty and what he is doing, but towards Madeline. Using the idea of male gaze, Hitchcock uses subjective camera positioning, referring to Karen Hollinger's book, The Look, Narrativity, and the Female Spectator in Vertigo. Madeline becomes the focus. We, the viewers, are pleasured by seeing Madeline in a state of distress since she is unsure of where she is and why she is naked in bed. The first time Scotty sees Madeline, she is wearing a green dress against the restaurant's red wallpaper. In the same scene, Scotty wears a red and green striped tie. The green helps illustrate uncanny events and the scenes within the movie, drawing attention to the characters in green. After Madeline's supposed suicide, Scotty first sees Judy in a green dress. The first representation of Madeline was a foreshadow of the reveal of Judy later in the movie. Judy is acting as Madeline, the green representing Judy's personality played into Madeline. During the scene when Judy transforms back into Madeline, the green light is shining on her, representing that she is again playing the role of Madeline. The scene Scotty is viewed in red, including the introduction scene of the movie. It shows his detective side against the green side of Scotty, his personality. As the movie progressed towards the end, we, the viewers, are aware that Scotty has become obsessed with Madeline, not only as a person, but also as an image. We see this as Scotty chases her up the winding staircase of the church tower. Scotty has an extreme fear of heights, his acrophobia, which causes him vertigo, disabling him from reaching the top. Chasing Madeline has become very difficult. He follows her up anyway. He does this because he does not want to lose what he views as the perfect image of a woman. Referring to Karen Hollinger's, Madeline is the male image of feminine perfection, and Scotty does not want to lose that. Watching this movie, the viewer becomes more aligned with Scotty's perspective on Madeline and how she is the image of feminine perfection. Hitchcock starts off Psycho with a very voyeuristic feel. During this opening scene, the camera goes through a crack of the window, showing the images of a half-naked Sam and Marion, assuming they just had sex. It gives the viewer a sense that they are going into the room unnoticed, making the audience feel very uncomfortable. The window is a full frame of the camera. It continues to zoom through the crack and then focuses on the two. The way the camera pans out over the neighborhood before it directly looks into the window makes the viewer feel like they are peeping toms. The first shot we see of Marion is her half naked in the center of the frame after the viewers have gone through the window. This shows that she is the main character of the film, but it also shows that she is someone you stare at for your own personal desire, referring back to the male gaze. The theme of the male gaze continues when Marion first meets Mr. Cassidy. The camera shows her from Mr. Cassidy's perspective as he is sitting on Marion's desk. From here, the camera is at a more senior position to stimulate a male's perspective, in this case, Mr. Cassidy's point of view. Her head is lowered until Mr. Cassidy ends the sentence with, quote, "my little girl," unquote, making the viewer know that Marion is aware of the male attention and is often flattered by other clients. This suggests that Marion understands her position as a woman under the male gaze.
As I should have years ago.
Norman is the only visible thing. He is the main focus of the camera. His mother's voice is played in the background, speaking of how she wouldn't harm a fly. Norman is clearly distraught based upon his facial expressions. This is because Norman is not actually Norman. The mother's face begins to overtake Norman's face, confirming that he was living through his mother's psyche. Norman's mother's psyche thinks she is outsmarting the police by remaining still, trying to prove how harmless she is, as, ironically, a fly crawls onto Norman.
I'm not even going to swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
In conclusion, Hitchcock manipulates the audience's perception through perspective by manipulating what he shows the audience and how he shows it to them. This was a key theme throughout all of the Hitchcock works. In these three films, Hitchcock utilizes various camera angles and movements to place the audience in alignment with the character. As he aligns the audience with the main character, we now have become the voyeur and share the same gaze as the characters.